what I would like to share with you is this concept of systems. It's actually something that I came across in the business space. I came across it in a video by Dan Martell. And basically, what he talked about in this video has to do with the fact that systems really stands for save yourself time, energy, money, and stress, right? And that's not something that I had heard before. Maybe you have, but save yourself time, energy, money, and stress. We would all like to do that, I think. And when it comes to our health, particularly, that is one place that we definitely spend a lot of time, energy, money, and stress, right? Because there are so many things out there that call for our attention in terms of things like products, for example, and just gadgets and different things, some of which are helpful, some of which are just not. And so I wanted to share this concept of saving yourself time, energy, money, and stress because what Dan was talking about in this video, even though it was in the business context, was just basically like if you're a business person or even if you have a job, right? Like when you put in systems, that's when things really become efficient. That's also where you can move forward easily. And I thought like this was really relevant for our health, especially in midlife, especially when we're going through perimenopause, right? Because there's so many changes going and it's easy to kind of get lost and overwhelmed in it. Now, if the other term we can use for systems is basically a routine, right? We all hear about morning routines, night routines, and all these things. So that's another way of thinking about system. Is just it's the routine that is optimal for you. Now the challenge, I think, with having a system in place or systems in place is that systems require intentionality, they require commitment, right? So a system of any kind does not build itself. So if we're thinking about, again, if you're a business owner or even if you're an employee and you have to put in some kind of system, it's not going to build itself just because you wish it so, right? You have to do the work. I know that for myself, for example, I do content strategy work, and at my last job for a tech company, I helped like to automate some processes when it comes to creating content, right? For example, a process for repurposing a live video like this one into a blog post. But I had to take the time to build that process and give it the transcript and tell it how I wanted to write. So this was using AI, right? But tell it all the information. And it didn't just happen because I wished it. So same thing when it comes to having systems for our health. They don't build themselves. And like I mentioned, if it requires intentionality and commitment, the other challenge with finding to even committing or being intentional is that most of us are living with a lot of stress, which means we're living in survival, we're living in fight or flight mode. It is really hard to tap into intentionality and commitment when you're in fight or flight. It's much more difficult. And also, if we add this layer of being in midlife, right, and being in perimenopause, and the very gloomy perspective that we get from a mainstream that says that it has to be this way, right? It has to be difficult. It has to be just an experience that is loaded with an endless list of symptoms. And I'm not saying that that isn't a real experience. But I'm also saying that just accepting the idea that it is just meant to be that way, and so you just have to cope with it, that's what I want to challenge. That's what I want to question. So if we think about the fact that all of that just adds to the heaviness and negativity and actually increases that feeling of being in survival, then this can actually keep you spending more time, energy, money, and stress. Right? It increases your time, energy, money, and stress because you're now having to look for maybe a quick fix and you're working at the symptom level, right? So you're going to look for maybe a protocol or a supplement for one symptom and a protocol and a supplement for another symptom, right? But that is just hopping from one thing to another. And next thing you know, you might end up with a massive supplement grave graveyard in your pantry because you've collected all these products, collected all these supplements with the best intentions of using them, but never actually got there for one reason or another. So, and this is something that I can even speak to, like for several years, I had challenges with my sleep. And prior to addressing it properly, I was hopping around, testing different supplements, testing different herbs. Those of you who watch me know I love my herbs. And I was trying all these different things. But the thing is, I did not have an herb problem, right? I had a mindset, I had a perspective or reaction to life that was creating stress, right? So the things that I had to address in order to take care of my sleep did not really have anything to do with the herbs, right? So I had to reduce the amount of herbs that I was using and put the herbs in the right place in my routine, right? This is something that I really talked about in the restorative sleep course that I have in my membership, was that I had to just change how I was looking at the herbs and realizing they were not the problem. That was everything else. And once I fixed everything else, then herbs were just there as a support, but they were not the main thing that was causing me to have challenges with my sleep. So from that perspective, and and before I got there, I was spending a lot of time researching, right? And what other herb could I try, and what blend of herbs and what tincture could I try? And I was spending a lot of energy, and I was certainly spending money buying all these different things, and then it was adding to my stress and actually not helping my sleep, which is ironic. So um, now that we have sort of like that premise, right, or that understanding, you might be wondering, like, how would you actually go about implementing a system, right? If the idea is, if we're coming from the premises that living in survival can actually make things more difficult for us, then how can you go about implementing change and putting together a routine that really works for you? So I have some tips that I wanted to share with you, and just going to take a look at my notes. So the first thing really is starting with what you're doing right now. So if you're watching this video or any video like this, you've already taken the first step because you are curious, right? You're keeping your mind open. You know that there's something else, that there are other possibilities. And that really is the first step, is to just start to get curious and then start watching content like this that is going to point you in other directions. And that's the first step. But then there's the next step, which is you want to actually take action on the things that you've learned, or maybe the new concepts that are starting to form in your brain. So the second thing then that I would say is to evaluate your current approach when it comes to your health and how you're taking care of yourself during perimenopause, right? So take a look at everything that you're doing or not doing, and how is that affecting your time, energy, money, and stress levels, right? Is it helping or is it not? And you probably don't have to take even 10 seconds. I'm sure you already know instinctively, because we all know this, even if we struggle to actually make the change. We all know this from pure instinct, that yes, this is getting to feel way harder than it needs to, right? And I'm having to white knuckle through everything. So do that honest evaluation for yourself, and it really should only take you 5 seconds of just answering honestly that where you are is not working. And that's all. Then the third thing is to then commit to building your system, right? So because without a true commitment, you don't have to know what that system is going to look like. You just need to commit that no matter what, no matter whether it's a good day or a bad day, no matter what happens outside in the world, because the world is going to keep doing what it's going to do, that no matter what, you are going to commit to always prioritizing your health in whatever shape or form that is needed for you. And once you've really committed in that way, for one, you start to take back your time, start to take back your energy. Because what's going to happen is you are now going to stop maybe doing like too much research, too much looking for new tips or new hacks. You're just suddenly going to feel more grounded because you've just decided, you know what, I'm just going to take a pause from everything and I'm just going to really focus on me. So, from there, the fourth thing that I would then suggest is that you take a gradual approach because it can be tempting, because depending on how you're experiencing this phase of life, it can be tempting to be like, I need to just have everything fixed and taken care of immediately, right? But the truth of the matter is, it's again really hard, especially if we're coming from a place where we've not built that habit before. If we're coming from a place of having a lot of stress, the goal is to not add to any challenge that your body's already experiencing, right? Whether physically, mentally, emotionally. So take a gradual approach. And this actually happens because when you think about a system is made up of different parts that all work together. And this is what you're building. The language that I typically use in my membership is talking about rituals. So we do a ritual every month, right? Like the first month we did a ritual around herbal teas for 7 days. Last month we did a ritual related to supporting our sleep that was all around daily movement and also an herb. This month, in a couple of days, we're getting ready to do a ritual that is focused more on the skincare side of things. But at the same time, that skincare ritual is also going to support our nervous system and just help to soothe us and calm us, right? So think of it not as I need to take care of my exercise and my food and my everything all at once. Do it gradually. Like when you do it that way, what that does is it allows you to see how everything works and what doesn't, right? Because if you try to do it all and you try to change too many things at once, it becomes difficult to know which one had the most impact for you, which one makes the most impact for you specifically. And the goal of having a system is to make sure that it actually is one that you have input in putting together, right? Because if you have input in it, you are invested and you're more likely to stick with it in the long term. Okay, so think of it in terms of I'm going to just build like a little ritual, and maybe it's a small ritual like what I mentioned that we did in my membership, which is we sit, we make a tea, take a few minutes to drink that tea, and just be present with it versus trying to multitask and sipping on the tea while we're on the phone and while we're scrolling on social media, and then now our attention is distracted, right? Like again, trying to do something good, but while still living in that sort of matrix type experience where we're multitasking because it's like, oh, I'm so busy, I don't even have time to sip a cup of tea, right? Like that's what we want to get out of. We want to get out of that space where it feels like I have to do this in tandem or in parallel with everything else, because we want the body to get signals that it is okay to chill out, even if it's just for the 5 minutes that you're drinking the tea. That's where it starts. You don't have to climb the whole mountain the first time. So take small approach, like I said, with things like tea, or even if it's with exercise, for example, you can, whether you're doing a video on YouTube or you are going for a walk, you don't necessarily have to you don't have to think about like I have to do 10,000 steps, because even that 10,000 step thing, it's just a general guideline, right? But if you're not doing any steps, who cares whether you're doing 5,000 or 10,000? You just need to get started. You just need to get your system trained, your body trained into all of that. So take your time, build into it. Like this is why I really have fallen in love with this idea of just doing a small ritual with my members every month, because it allows us to just test something, right? It's not saying that 7 days of one thing is going to necessarily fix anything, but for some people, those 7 days were tremendous, right? In terms of just exposing them to new things. And then they decide, oh, I'm going to take this. Like one person got exposed to hibiscus tea that she'd never experienced and just fell in love with it. And it actually was helpful. It lined up with also some other things that she needed to take care of for her health. But she just came into it just with curiosity. right? And just went through those 7 days of, oh, let's see what it's like to drink the hibiscus tea hot and then cold. Let's see what it's like to drink the hibiscus tea with some spices in it, right? And let's see what it's like to drink it plain. Like we experimented with different things, and she ended up putting in like a vanilla syrup that she has that made for her made the hibiscus tea extra tasty. So, but that was coming from a place of I'm just gonna have fun with this. Yes, hibiscus tea is good for women, but that wasn't her primary reason for doing it. She just wanted to experiment, right, and expose herself to something new. So, I encourage you to take that approach and to do it, step by step and just small things at a time. So that is what I wanted to share with you on this live stream this morning. I see that there are a couple of people here. So if there are any questions, by the way, feel free to just submit them at any time because I want to get into the habit, build the muscle of coming on here live more frequently and yeah, and just sharing because some of these thoughts I have to me make sense more for a live and not necessarily having to do a formal video every single time. And so if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat or to drop them in the comment section of the replay for this video. And I also did mention my membership throughout this video, so I will make sure to also put a link to that in the description once this live goes up, once the replay goes up, right? So if there are no questions at this time, thank you to those of you that are here. Thank you to anyone who ends up watching this replay. And I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.